All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, January 10th. We got a decent-sized NBA slate, larger than normal NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the spread, give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any player prop plays that we like within the game as well. But as always, all of my final plays, if you do want to fade me and do the opposite of those picks, those plays going to live in the pinned comment last night. And we were desperate for a positive night, right? We're starting to piece a couple together here. Last night we go 2-1, our only loss being a half unit parlay loss, in which we hit 2 out of the 3 legs. But you know what? We'll bask in the crowd noise here because, again, we're starting to feel it out. 2 nights ago, decent night. Last night, we'll take a 2-1 night, the one loss being a half unit. And, you know, prior to that, things were kind of like head scratching. Now I feel like we're gaining a little bit of momentum here. So hopefully we can carry that momentum into today's large slate here. But the T-Wolves cashed for us easily. And then RJ Barrett over 4.5 rebounds. The dude had double-digit rebounds. So what a read there. And like I said, only one of the parlay legs. It was the Mavs over 114.5. You could tell that that one wasn't cashing early on. The Mavs did not look sharp. Speaking of sharp, Jesus. Fred coming in with another ride of the day. That is now 4 in a row for Fred here. Yesterday at RJ Barrett over 17.5 points. RJ Barrett went off yet again yesterday for 20 plus. So you know what? We're abusing the soundboard today, but pumping some crowd noise for Fred. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you got to do is give me some plays in the comments with hashtag ride of the day for your chance to be shouted out in future videos here. Once we find someone that is hot and that is hitting plays, we ride them. And I gotta stop saying that like we have been with Fred for the past 4 videos here, because he has been on absolute fire. So guys, I'm also posting this over on Twitter. Make sure to follow me there, or on X at EvGuyBoston, following everyone back as well. So ride with us over there, guys. Fred has been on absolute fire. Can't wait to see what he cooks up today. But let's go and jump into game number 1 of today's slate. We have an absolute instant classic of a game. We got the Pistons taking on the Spurs. From a spread and total perspective, nothing really irks me or makes me feel strongly either way. I think the Spurs, as weird as it is to say, are a better team, right? They're 5-30. The Pistons are 3-34. The Pistons haven't been terrible against the spread, but they're coming off the back-to-back here, getting smoked by 21 last night. Cade Cunningham, obviously, injury news, tough for him. So it's like they're missing Cade Cunningham and Isaiah Stewart, 2 absolute major pieces to their team. As bad as they are when they're out, it's like, oh boy, what are we going to do now, right? So give me the Spurs. I doubt this becomes a final play, but who knows? I've done crazier things, right? In terms of the total, also something that I'm not really fixated on here, I think there's going to be a lack of defense. That shouldn't be much of a surprise. But are these offenses, like I keep telling you about the Spurs, like I'm always, like, you know, not really inclined to take a Spurs over, even though they played so little defense, because their offense can literally score like 100 points at times. And we saw that with the Pistons last night as well. So I'm going to slightly lean towards the under here, but I doubt that makes its way into a final play. Now, in terms of what I could be looking at from a final play perspective here, we could be looking at Victor Wembanyama over 2.5 blocks. The guy is crushing it this year in the block department. He's hit this in 8 of his last 10. 1 of those he finished on the hook. He's hit it in 58% of games this season. And what I love about this, no matter how you want to cut this up on the season, you know, last 7, whatever it is, this Pistons team allowing plenty of blocks to the center position. So they're allowing the most blocks on the year to the center position, the 5th most in the last 7 here, in the last 15. They're allowing the 2nd most. Like, no matter how you want to cut this up, this is a Pistons team that is getting blocked a lot. So that's probably my favorite play in this spot, and something that actually could be a final play. Victor Wembanyama over 2.5 blocks. All right, next game up, we have the Pacers without Halliburton hosting the Wizards here. So this is a tough spot because that line is a little questionable, right? It's still kind of high, but not too high against a Washington team. And no Halliburton is sure to be a huge hit to the Pacers. They're 1-2 this season without him. They've gotten blown out twice and then blew out the Heat once. So it's almost like they're super inconsistent without him to begin with. And he is the heartbeat of that team, no kidding, right? So this makes it a tough spot for the Pacers, excuse me. But the Wizards are just so bad. Like, the Wizards are so bad that I think you have to look at the Pacers still with a little bit of caution, though. Like, you're not running up to place this bet or, you know, fumbling your phone trying to get it live before any odds change, right? Like, this is a maybe we consider the Pacers spot because the Wizards are so bad, and I still don't think that no Halliburton makes this Wizards team, you know, within 8 points of the Pacers. Now, they easily could be. I doubt I'm betting this myself today, but that Halliburton injury is pretty tough because, again, they've been inconsistent without him. And it's like, in terms of inconsistencies, they've either gotten blown out or blown someone out. So if they do win and the Heat are a better team than Washington, you know, they probably like smoke Washington in a sense. So it's like that 7.5 may be irrelevant. I don't know. This isn't my favorite game on the slate today. The total sitting at 251.5. You know, obviously Halliburton is out of the lineup and he's a huge producer for them. But from a pace perspective, out of guys that play 20 plus minutes, you know, Obi Toppin, Buddy Hield, Bruce Brown, all play at a faster pace than him. So maybe some of the guys that they do have can still continue to up the pace, and we look at a slight over here because it's a scary under to take. A terrible defense in Washington, and obviously a bad defense in the Pacers too, right? So even without Halliburton, I could see this game going up and over and getting high scoring. Probably not touching this game altogether, though. Next up, we have Charlotte taking on the Kings here. If you guys remember the last time these two teams played, it wasn't all that pretty. Charlotte, 15.5 point dog. So Sacramento, 16 or 15.5 point favorites, right? And Charlotte wins that game outright, 111-104. So now you have Sacramento on the second night of a back-to-back. Well, I don't think that's going to impact it all that much. The starters did play a decent amount against the Pistons, but they ultimately, you know, kind of got that last minute rest, I guess. So I think that what would trump this back-to-back sort of idea or mantra, it's the fact that game ended so poorly last time. The Charlotte, you know, beat Sacramento in their house. Like, I think Sacramento comes in guns blazing. This line right now, 6.5. This is probably going to be like 9 by game time because the public side today is surely going to be, you know, Sacramento. I would think Sacramento minus the 6.5 because of the revenge spot. But Sacramento has, you know, turned off a lot of folks lately in terms of trusting them and wanting to bet on them. So maybe not, but give me the Kings here. I think that this has got to be like the last hoorah for the Kings, right? Like, if they don't cover this, and they're a team that we've made plenty of money on in the last 2 seasons, honestly, but plenty of money on this year, but now we're starting to like they're starting to take it back. You know what I mean? Like, they give you a gift, they take it right back. So if they don't cover in this spot and we make it a final play, damn, I think that we might have to ban the Kings for a little while here because, yeah, I mean, seriously, think about that. Like, if they lose to Charlotte, one of the worst teams in the league right now, twice, never mind, you know, not covering, I guess that's a little bit more excusable, but give me the Kings, but this is like a nut up or shut up moment for the Kings in terms of if we're betting on them for the rest of the year. Total sitting at 234.5. I've seen it at 232 on some sportsbooks, so a little volatile there, things moving around. Give me the over in this spot, even with I think the Kings coming in fired up and all that. I don't think that Charlotte is going to play much defense, and they have been playing good defense, which just tells me that at some point their defense is going to go meh, right? Like, they've held opponents to 111, 104, 104, and 119. Like, at some point the dam has to break. This is not a good defensive team. They're not defensively sound. Sacramento's offense, maybe you can make the argument they're starting to cook. 3 out of the last 4 games, 130 plus points. You know, so this could be the spot where they pour on a bunch of points. So give me Sacramento as well as the game total going over because I do think that, you know, the defense is about to break here. A player prop that I don't mind, and we'll flash up Outlier, guys. If you want to check out Outlier, I have a link in the pinned comment. You get 7 days free of this tool. The worst thing that can happen is you go sign up for 7 days thinking you're being a little sleazeball. I'll cancel it after 7 days. Then you realize how much you love it, and you're like, fine, I'll pay the monthly rate, which is, again, $19.99 a month. It's really not backbreaking either. It's not going to break the bank. So go check out Outlier, guys. 7 days free. But a player prop I like is Terry Rozier under 8.5 assists here. So it's not that I love the matchup in particular, but I do think that, you know, this is a high number for him. If we look at his assist chances, potential assists over the last 7 games here, 12.2 potential assists. I don't see him converting on, you know, over 75% of those. And he's hit this in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 straight games here. So I like the spot for him to go under. He's been getting pretty damn close. I get that. But look what he did against Sacramento last time, right? He had 6 assists here, and from a points perspective, he had 34, and he shot the ball 24 times. I could see him doing that again, so I don't look for him to be a passer in this spot. My one worry would be that, you know, Sacramento's like, oh boy, like he dropped 34 on us last time. Our main goal today is to lock up Terry Rozier, which would lead to more assists. But again, I still think that him getting 9 assists is a fairly high number. And guys, before we move on to the next game, I should have reminded you and asked you guys to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. We're racing towards 50K, and you guys I can't do that without you. So appreciate everyone that has subscribed. Appreciate if you click on the button right now. Also hit that like button as well. It helps out the channel a ton. Takes 2 seconds for you guys to do, right? So appreciate the hell out of that. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let's move on to the next game here. All right, next up, this should be a good one. Celtics hosting the Timberwolves here. Celtics 7-point favorites. Makes sense because they are at home, and that is a huge advantage for them this year. They're 17-0 straight up when they are at home. Against the spread, 11-6 at home, but still, again, they have not lost at home this season. 7's a lot of points, I'll give you that, but I gotta lean towards my Boston Celtics here just because Timberwolves are also on a back-to-back. Now, they blew out Orlando, so I wouldn't really look at that and say, oh, those guys are going to be tired, but they didn't get the most rest. Like, Karl-Anthony Towns played 34 minutes, McDaniels 35, Gobert 33, Conley 31, Anthony Edwards 25 at least. But yeah, it's not like they were able to just sit for the longest time, right? So maybe it impacts them a little bit. And even Orlando kind of made what you could consider a game of that towards the end, right? So I do believe that this is a tough spot for Minnesota, you know, coming from Orlando to Boston. They're already 0-2 this season against the spread on back-to-backs. Give me Boston in this one, but again, that number, like, you could make the argument to me that 7-point number, you know, +7 is just too much to pass up on Minnesota, and I don't think that I would be arguing it all night long. Like, that is a hefty chunk of points that Boston has to lay. So part of me is like, all right, we probably just don't touch this game, and that's probably where we end up getting to, again, just because if this was like 4.5 or something like that, then yeah, we'd be all over it. One thing to note too, probably should have led with this: Drew Holiday, Tatum, Horford, Porzingis, all questionable in this one. Tatum's actually probable, and then Sam Hauser also probable in this spot. So if there's a bunch of injuries on the Celtics side of things, and that's 7, see you later. I don't like that whatsoever. In terms of a total, looking at 223.5, we saw the Timberwolves defense look good against Orlando last night. So I'll give them credit that maybe their defense is getting back there. Like I told you yesterday, I want to see their defense look good before we, you know, kind of crown them that great defense again, because the defense lacked for a little bit here. But that being said, the defense isn't all that tremendous when it comes to back-to-backs here. In fact, they're 2-0 to the over on back-to-backs, and we know the Celtics team can put up a bunch of points, right? So I'm going to lean towards the over in this spot. It's probably something I like more than the 7 points on the spread. And then I have another player prop another play. It's a player prop that I really like in this game as well. We're looking at Anthony Edwards over 4.5 rebounds. He sits in 55% of games this season. He's only hit it in 4 of his last 10 and in 1 of his last 7. So you're probably like, why would we look at that, right? Well, if you look at it from a perspective of him going up against the Celtics here, Celtics on the season, allowing the 7th most rebounds to opposing shooting guards. Look at this: 6 rebounds last year, 10 rebounds last year. Earlier this season, 9 rebounds. Like, this is a good spot for him. The Celtics, you know, if there's one thing that we can make the argument as, you know, they're not the prolific rebounding team that some teams are, right? Really good defense. Like, if we look at it like this, right? 3rd fewest points allowed, 5th fewest assists allowed, and then look at the outlier there, the rebounds, right? And if we look at it from a shooting guard perspective, even more. Point guard, everything. Like, that rebounding number is going to be the highest number except for centers. It's because you got 7'4" Kristaps there. So I like him over in his rebounds, and also his PRA doesn't look all that bad to me either. I just don't want him to get, you know, potentially locked up. They learned a lot from him. He had a 38, 9, and 7 game last time they played, which was just about, you know, 2 months ago. So maybe they're like, all right, mission number 1, go ahead and stop him. So make sure you guys keep an eye on the pinned comment, because something with this Anthony Edwards, I could see this being a final play here, but I'm leaning right now towards looking at that rebound number, him getting 5 rebounds there. But keep an eye on the pinned comment. I like the over Anthony Edwards, then a slight lean towards the Celtics here, minus the points, but definitely have to keep an eye on that injury report for sure. All right, guys, before we get on with the rest of the slate, I do want to talk to you about the Fade Me store. If you guys want to help us grow and get some great merch at the same time and support us, head over to fademe.store. I'll put a link in the pinned comment as well and pick up some great Fade Me gear that we have over there. We've launched a bunch of new stuff, a bunch of Guppy collection stuff, a bunch of just regular Fade Me stuff. We have the campus collection, which is making a play at some of our favorite and more popular college schools. So go check it out, guys. Again, fademe.store. Tons of cool designs over there. We got the Fade Squad collection if you guys consider yourselves a real fan and OG and everything like that. But again, it comes down to support, right? You're not going to want to buy a shirt if you don't rock with the brand and everything like that. And I can't thank the people that have already. We've gotten such great reviews of this product that I'm like, thank you. It took so long to get into work. We didn't just find some random ass blanks and like, I don't want to call it any bad companies, right? Where it's like, hey, give us a logo, we'll put it on a t-shirt. No, we put a lot of time and effort into the material, into the prints and everything like that. So go check out fademe.store. You're going to love the products you get. I'm confident in that, and great prices. And you get to support the channel. Go check it out, guys. Link in the pinned comment. All right, next up, we got Hawks taking on the Sixers. It's tough to make a play on this game right now because the injury report is just absolutely crazy. So for the Sixers, we have Covington, he's out. Harris, Melton, probable, and then Joel Embiid, doubtful. It's not even that he's ruled out, he's doubtful. On the Atlanta side of things, we have Capella, Young, Hunter, all questionable here. Actually, I think Hunter is out. So it's like, who's playing in this spot, right? If Joel Embiid is out and the Hawks are healthy, I guess I'll lean towards Atlanta just because they are at home. Now, don't get that confused with me saying they're a good home team. They're literally the worst basketball team against the spread this season, right? I believe they still hold that crown. They're 8-27 against the spread. Like Phoenix, Detroit, Charlotte, all these, Milwaukee, all these bad against the spread teams, way better against the spread than Atlanta. At home, it doesn't even get any better. They're 2-12 against the spread at home. So it's like, okay, they're not very good. But I do like the fact that if they're going to be playing a bumped and bruised team and they're the home team, like maybe that gives them a little advantage. But hopefully you guys can tell in my voice. Again, I want to see where these injuries come out. I want to see the injury report before really being confident in anything on this game. In terms of a total, 245.5 seems very high. Embiid helps the Sixers score. I know a lot of people think that he slows down the pace, which it's not that he plays at a crazy high pace, right? But he's a very efficient player. He gets to the line, aka points, without there being time run off. He has a good field goal percentage and all that. So it's not that he plays with like a crazy pace, but his pace is above, on an individual stand. It's like a 102 pace. So it's not a slow pace. So I think him being out could hurt the over here, but if Atlanta's going to win this game, it's not going to be defensively. So if I think Atlanta has a better shot here, then I guess I like the over. But again, it's kind of like I guess I like the over. I don't think that I'm racing to make that play. One play that I could see coming to fruition is going to be Clint Capella over 10.5 rebounds. Now, he's on the injury report, so hopefully he's questionable. Hopefully he's playing a full assortment of minutes, but no Joel Embiid in there. I like his matchup against basketball Paul Reed, and just given the fact that, the last 6 times he's played the Sixers here, he's hit this in 5 of those games. Last time being about a month ago, he had 16 rebounds against them. In his last 7 games here too, he's averaging 16 rebound chances, so that should be a floor of 8 rebounds. He can grab a couple more. It's a big dude there. So Clint Capella over 10.5 rebounds, also a spot I'm looking at in this game. Heat taking on the Thunder here. Heat getting a few points at home, plus 4.5 as home dogs. Total 234.5 right now. This Thunder team, as we know it, one of the better teams in the entire league, right? The best team against the spread. They just overtook Orlando, as Orlando doesn't cover last night. These two teams are bouncing back and forth here, right? So you got to give them credit, and we've been cashing with the Rumble and covering Thunder for quite some time now. 4.5 points seems like it's too much, but I gotta lay it. Like, I can't look at this Heat team confidently and say that they're gonna do it now. They did just cover and had a good game against Houston in Houston, so I'll give them the credit there. But again, this Oklahoma City team seems like they're a little bit different of an animal. So give me OKC minus the points here. In terms of a total, 234.5. I'll take the over. I think that this Heat team is going to try and run with OKC versus this becoming a grinded out type defensive fashion game. So I'll lean towards the over here as well. And then from a player prop perspective, Chet Holmgren under 17.5 points. I think it's okay to start fading centers to some degree against Bam Adebayo. Centers scoring the fewest points in the league against the Heat this season. In their last 7, you know, it rings true as well. They're just playing good defense. Bam in particular is playing really good defense. And Chet being, yes, tall, lanky, but not the most physical guy. If Bam can kind of like get him back down to his level, because Bam Adebayo isn't like the, you know, the tallest guy in the league. He's more of a physical guy, right? Like this is a center that is 6'9", but very strong, very athletic. So if he can kind of walk Chet Holmgren into his domain, I think he can kind of toy with him. We just saw Bam kind of do that to Alfred Sengun. We took his under, right? So whether this makes it to a final play or not, still up in the air, because if you look at the trends here, it would just disagree, right? He's only hit the under here in 3 of his last 10, but against Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn, you know, so I think that Brooklyn sort of Nick Claxton could be a good comp. Maybe Porzingis. It's like guys that you know, can block a shot, make things difficult for you. Maybe Chet can struggle against because he's not the most physical guy. So we'll see if that makes its way into the final plays again. The thing that's scaring me is how much red is on that freaking screen, right? But we'll see where we make out on that game. All right, Chicago taking on Houston. This is just like an ideal spot for Chicago, I guess, in a sense, because they're terrible on the road, right? Well, they're at home here. And then you have Houston, who's good at home, right? But they're on the road here, and they're terrible on the road. So I think that this is probably an ideal spot for Chicago, minus the points. Do I think Houston's a better ball club? Honestly, if Chicago were to kind of fire on all cylinders, I do think that they have a pretty damn good team. Like that starting lineup of White, Levine, DeRozan, Pat Williams, and Vucevic with Alex Caruso coming off the bench. Like that's a solid team defensively, offensively. No matter how much you want to or how you want to cut it up, I guess. The Houston Rockets have been outkicking their coverage, in my opinion, for the whole year, but like it's been a long time, so I don't think it's outkicking their coverage anymore. I think they might just be this as a team, and they're super young, so I do think Chicago maybe has a slight edge in the personnel department. Houston, in my opinion, has been a better team, I guess, when it comes to team basketball, but not on the road here. I'm fading them on the road. Give me the Bulls minus the 4 points. This is a close one, though. I think I could be convinced Houston. You know, if we were at a bar having a beer talking about this game, you could probably convince me, because it's not like the most like stand my backbone up straight and lay the Bulls and fade Houston on the road. I know they're bad on the road. I've said it a bunch of times here when we've been talking about this, but it's not like Chicago's this world-beating team, right? So, yeah. Nonetheless, guys, I do still lean toward Chicago. Total sitting at 216. This is a Houston defense. I've talked about it before, right? When they're on the road, that defense takes a little bit. They're still a good defense, but that defense takes a little step back here. So I'm going to lean towards the over in this spot. Just because of that fact, you know what I mean? Like, yes, it's a good defense. It is both these teams can play with a slow pace, but I think Houston being on the road is going to kind of up this tempo a little bit here. So yeah, I'll lean towards the over. Their last road game, which was either 2 or 3 nights ago against Miami, right? 120-113 loss. Way over this number. Now, Miami, slightly faster team, I guess you could say, than the Bulls, because to some degree, like, who isn't faster, because this Bulls team plays very, very slow. But still, point stands here, guys. I'm going to lean towards the over. It's a low number, and I think that this is a team in which Houston plays faster on the road. And again, we just saw it with Miami, who pulling it up now. Miami, the 4th slowest team in the league here. Bulls, by far and away the slowest, but still, Miami was able to drop a bunch of points on them. Player props, nothing jumps off the page to me in this game. We got burned by DeMar last game as points and assists. I don't hate that again, nor as points and rebounds. But again, Houston's a good defense. They prevent a lot of positions from doing a lot of things. So a little bit worrisome there. But I think we stick away from player props in this spot. All right, Warriors taking on the Pelicans here. I was a little surprised to see this line come in at Warriors +1. Yes, it opened at -1, moved to +1 here. So this thing's kind of been all over the place. Actually, I think it opened as a pick'em. So as of right now, graphics is -1. It's actually +1 on the Warriors side at home. But essentially, guys, I feel like this might move back and forth all day. It's going to be a pick'em. So we're talking money lines here. The total sitting at 233.5. These two teams earlier in the year, or I guess way earlier, right? October 30th, the Warriors got the best of them, 130-102. And I could see that being due to the fact that this is a New Orleans team that covers the 3-point ball well, but allows tons of threes. Like they do not like it when you take it into the paint against them, right? Especially with Big Val down there. You have Zion. I mean, their whole team is pretty much, other than McCollum and Valanciunas, is a bunch of small forwards that are strong, like long or strong, right? So it makes sense why they try to cover that a lot, but a lot of teams shoot a lot of threes against them. And that I could see being the case here today. And I don't think you really want the Warriors being a team that shoots a lot against you. Yes, they're not as good as they once were, but you have Clay and Steph shooting from the outside. Could be sort of an unmatched thing on the Pelican side. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards the Warriors here. I know a lot of people aren't really liking the basketball they've been playing, really like a roller coaster, and New Orleans has been playing good basketball, 5-1 in their last 6 here. Same thing against the spread in their last 5. They're 4-1, so it's like they're playing good basketball, but why did this line come in where it is? Now, you do have Zion on the injury report, so that could be an indicator as why he missed the last matchup. Will he play tonight? If he doesn't, then I like the Warriors even more. But again, the way the Pelicans have been playing, the way the Warriors have been playing, I don't care if the Warriors are at home. This should be a line that's much bigger, but the books aren't offering that. They know where this game kind of sits. It's going to be a close game. I'll take the 1 point or the Warriors on the money line. Total 233.5. I have to go with the over here. I think that the Warriors, again, my whole thought process here is that there's going to be a lot of threes on the Warriors side in this game, so I have to lean towards the over there. A player prop I don't really mind in this game. I gave it to you guys last game. Pelicans played. Didn't end up rolling with it myself, but under 6.5 rebounds plus assist for Herb Jones. It's just really coming from a volume perspective. Only averaging 2 potential assists per game in his last 7, and then in his last 7 for rebounds, averaging 8.2 rebound chances. So we're looking at a number that should be right around 5. We have a rebound and assist and a half type of thing, 6.5 versus 5 to play with there. I'll take the under there. Keep an eye on the pin comp to see if that does become a final play, because it's not like the Warriors are prolific in preventing that to his position. But guys, if you guys are still watching right now, go ahead and comment 25 because you made it 25 minutes into the video. Keeping an eye out for all the OGs, because the guppies do not make it this far into the video. They skip around. They're the ones asking, hey, what's your picks today? And I'm like, I just made a 30+ minute video talking about every pick in every game, and you have the audacity to comment that. But hey, attention spans in this country, shot in this world. But guys, go ahead and comment 25 if you made it this far. I always do that into the video. All right, Jazz Nuggets here. Jazz been playing good basketball. They beat Philly, then they beat Milwaukee. They were 6.5 underdogs against Philly, 8-point underdogs against Milwaukee. And they went through this gauntlet here, right? They lose to the Celtics. This is all a road trip. They're finally home. They lose to the Celtics, beat Philly, and beat Milwaukee. Like, Celtics, Philly, Milwaukee. What a tough Eastern Conference trip. But now they're back home, and I almost kind of, I know they're good at home. I get it, and 6.5 is a lot of points, and the Nuggets haven't been very good on the road this year. But I still think that this is kind of like a gotcha game for Utah. Like, they're flying high. They're playing some of their better basketball that they've played, winning games no one thought they would. They almost blew out the Bucks. The Bucks actually made that look closer than it even was last game. But I think they get got by the Nuggets here. The Nuggets are just a far better team. And, Utah at some point, what goes up must come down. First game of a road stand here, where they have a few games at home after this against a really good Nuggets team, I think is kind of a gotcha moment. So I'll lean towards Denver here, minus the 6.5 points. Like I said, though, it is a lot of points. That was kind of my first initial reaction. So I get why this line is where it is, but I also get why someone might be taking those points with Utah at home. I just think this is like a flop of a game from them. Total sitting at 238 right now. Seems a little bit high, especially if I think the Nuggets are going to win this game. I think they slow it down and take that pace away from the Jazz here. So I'm going to lean towards and then the Nuggets, the second slowest team in the NBA, right? Very, very efficient, but the Jazz, the 10th fastest team. So I think that they take that pace away from them. I'm going to lean towards the under 238 in this spot. I like that a lot. I also have a player prop that I really like here, and there's a lot of green on this screen. Didn't mean to rhyme. A lot of green on the screen. A rhyme I didn't mean. Wow, put that on a record. But look at John Collins here. This season here, over 19.5 points, rebounds, and assists. The minutes, we want the minutes to be there, right? He's had minutes is right here. Let's look at his last 5 here. Obviously coming back just recently too. But the minutes haven't totally been there. I want him getting 30 plus. Obviously, it would definitely help this out. But again, he's been crushing this line, and he's going to get that power forward center role. It's not the most lockdown position of the Nuggets. Jokic is a really good center, but we know he's not the most mobile. John Collins, a very mobile big, right? And potentially, able to stretch Jokic out there and hit a couple threes. He's taking threes, not necessarily making them, but look at that. 7 attempts, 6 attempts, 5 attempts, yada, yada, yada. If we look back for his points, rebounds, and assists here, earlier in the year, when he played here, 10-30, right? He had 25. He had 15 points, 9 rebounds, and an assist. So I like that over there. I just think it's a gettable number for him. Would I be surprised if John Collins doesn't have a good game? No, because John Collins is one of the most inconsistent guys over the last, X amount of years. He wanted to go to Atlanta. He wanted to leave Atlanta so they could be like a superstar. And it's like, dude, you're not doing anything, right? But I do think that there could be some more offensive opportunity with him going up against Jokic. As good as Jokic is, as great as Jokic is, I think Collins being in that center position pulls him out to the three-point line a little bit more and maybe beats him off the dribble more than you might think. Boy, do I want to bet on this Raptors team. This Raptors team has been pretty awesome since, I know they lost yesterday, but they covered. Wish we made that a final play. That would have been nice. They've been good since the trade. Like, both the Knicks and the Raptors have had a good sort of experience post-trade, right? The Knicks blow out the Blazers yesterday. They cover their big number. And then the Raptors keep it close to the Lakers here and cover by pretty easily when you think about it, right? They got 4.5 points. They lose by 1. The one thing I'll say here is Raptors on a back-to-back. I'm already skeptical about them just being a road team here. When it comes to against the spread on the road, this Raptors team, they are 10-9, which is fine. I guess it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be, but we know they're better at home, right? Like, they're 6-13 on the road straight up, so it tells you they don't win games. But I guess the 10-9, slightly above positive. Like, I can give them a little bit of credit, but on a back-to-back is where you probably end up losing me here. So this is a team that's on a back-to-back as well as on the road, 2-4 on back-to-backs this season. And this is a damn good Clippers team. Like, this is a Clippers team that I do believe in. They've been playing good basketball. They've won 7 of their last 10, covered in 6 of their last 10 here. I got to look at the Clippers. It kind of pains me because it's such a big number, and I think that this Raptors team can make games close. But that back-to-back, in my opinion, is weighing pretty damn strong there. And no Jakob Poeltl, so I like Ivica Zubac here to be able to do probably anything he wants in this game as well. Being one of the bigger guys that's going to be on the floor. Now, what I will say is his rebounds line, 9.5. He's getting plenty of rebound chances in his last 7 here. He's been getting... let me see, I had it up before. He's been getting 19.7 rebound chances, right? So looking for him to get double-digit rebounds shouldn't be asking all that much, especially when we just saw Jakob Poeltl go out. And then, like, that is a massive blow here, obviously. So, yeah, I'll lean towards some of his plays as well, so don't be surprised to see anything in the pinned comment for him. And that's probably going to wrap it up for the show, guys. In terms of a total, I guess you should talk about that, right? Total sitting at 235. I'm going to lean slightly towards the under. Raptors should be tired, and this Clippers team, if they want to play slow, they'll go and play slow now. They are a team in which they'll mix it up, right? They'll play fast one day, slow the next, but on the season as a whole, the biggest sample size we have right now, right? They are the 7th slowest team. So I think that is the team that comes out in them tonight. And again, I like them to cover this. I probably would rather the under more than I do that 9.5 points. But again, I really don't mind looking at Zubac to be able to kind of at least have a good game, whether it's points, rebounds, assists, whatever it is. We'll keep you guys posted in the pinned comment. But thank you guys very much for tuning in on this Wednesday. Long video, but a big slate. We love those big slates. Tons of opportunities. And yeah, very excited for today's game. So catch you guys in the next video, all right? Peace out.